Today we're going to talk about the quilt as you go method. Quilting is not the act of creating a quilt top. I mean, that's creating a quilt top. Quilting is when you layer the backing with a layer of your batting, and then you have your quilt top on top of that, and you stitch through all of those layers. So there's a newer thing, and there's many ways to do this, but it's called quilt as you go. You can do smaller squares. I'm going to do a square today. I chose a 10-inch square for my batting, and I went a little larger. I went 12-inch square for my backing. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew strips right onto it. So we're going to sew through all three layers as we create this block, and then we can attach it to other blocks after we're done. So to start, as I said, it's 10-inch square for the batting, 12-inch for the backing. Now I'm going to place this in the center. You may not be able to see, but I drew little lines across the diagonal so I can match these points and make sure I'm good and centered, which is great. You first want to do a little spray based. I'm using quilt basting spray, available at sewingpartsonline.com. And I'm going to give it a couple of shots just to hold this basting in place. It's nothing big, but it's helpful to know that this is not going to go anywhere, since we're going to take this back and forth from the sewing machine a lot. That's going to hold that down. So what I'm doing with this is I'm getting rid of a lot of my extra jelly roll strips. I've got random stuff here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to piece these randomly. So I'm going to take one strip and lay it in the center-ish. It's not even straight on. It doesn't have to be. I think I like them a little jagged, a little zigzag. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to pair it with this. And look, I am going to run a seam right along the edge of this pink one here. I'll use that as my guide, just a 1/4-inch seam. I don't have to back stitch because we're going to bind this later. It'll be held in. Now, when you start sewing, I want you to only sew in the area where the batting is, okay? Start on the batting and finish on the batting. Don't go over. Don't go over into the backing area, all right? Position your needle, put your presser foot down. I'm also using a walking foot, very important for this, because we're going through many layers. If I used just a regular straight stitch foot, it would advance the bottom, the backing, and the batting, but it wouldn't necessarily pull the top with it. That's the beauty of the walking foot. It not only has feed dogs under it, but it helps push your top fabric too, so it all goes together nicely. Now sew this seam here, and I'm stopping right at the edge of my batting. I'm going to cut that thread. So what we're going to do next is quickly just set the seam with the hot iron here. Open this up and give it a press. And that's our first piece of this. So next I'm going to find, what do I like next? I think I'm going to do one of these reds. Now I could line it up perfectly if I wanted to. I really don't care for that idea. So I'm going to skew it as well. I'm going to sew a seam along this red edge, using that as my guide. And again, I'm going to set the seam really quick, and we're going to press this guy open. And you can already see that even though these are all different colors and different patterns, they're going to go together beautifully. Don't be afraid of that. In fact, I'd encourage it. Try to mix and match as many patterns and colors as you can, because really you're going to come out with something quite beautiful, and you'll see that when we reach the end. So let's see what I've got left. I'm going to do this light one. I'm just going to keep piecing this until we get to the edge. Looks a little weird right now, right? It's very colorful. I like that. I'm going to flip this over, and you can see on the back, I don't know if this is close enough, but you can see the quilted lines already. Every line we did is a quilted stitch on the back, so it's going to look nice. Now, I flip this over. I'm going to pull this backing back, and I'm going to trim off all this extra. I'm going to keep my batting. I'm going to trim this close to the batting area. So let's get rid of that. And I'm going to turn it. Same thing. Pull this back. And sometimes it's a little tough to get your ruler right in there, but that looks good. We're just squaring this up nicely with the batting itself, because then I'm going to show you, I've done a couple of these already, and we're going to join it together. We have squared this up, and it looks really nice. I mean, it's looking even better and better. What you can do is, if you were going to do this as a regular square by itself, or think of a little wider, you can make a placemat. The next step of this would be to fold your backing in half once, and then in half again, and just stitch a seam across the top. You can do that around here. I mean, and that's a simple finish, but if you want to make this larger and attach it to other squares, let me show you what I've done. I have joined 2 squares already. Now look, they're all random, so they are really looking nice together. I'm going to join this third one as well onto the end, and I'm going to show you how. See, I'm going to have the backing and the backing. I'm just going to match the backings up here. You're going to feel where that batting is. See, I can tell I'm right on the edge of the batting on both sides, and I'm good with that. I'm going to stitch a line, not through the batting, not through here, just through the little backing area, as close to the edge as I can, all the way down. So that's next. So now we have joined a third block to this whole thing. So you can see these look great. You can see what I've done here already, and that's what we're going to do on here too. I'm going to open this up, see? And one side at a time, I'm going to fold this in half, then I'm going to fold it in half again and press it all the way down. Now see, I'm only doing one side at a time first because I want to get this nice and pressed. At this point, I'm going to put this in the sewing machine. I'm going to do just a stitch along the edge of that side. Yeah, that's looking good. Now, same thing with this side. I'm going to fold it in half, of course, and in half again. And let's press that down, all the way down. And then let's run a stitch through that. Okay, now see, we have 3 blocks joined together. Quilt as you go. All the quilting is already done on the back of this. Now, you've got 2 options here. Some people like to just finish this off in the same way, meaning let's take what we have left, let's fold it in half and fold it up again, and you can edge it that way. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to square this off. I'm going to cut all the extra off. So all we have left is our 3 nice blocks. And then I'm going to do a binding on it to show you how to, same way you bind the edge of a quilt. I'll do, my next video will be on putting the binding around this. So it'll be very interesting. I hope you enjoyed this. Look at the freedom you get with this. I used a lot of material, of strips that were just sitting around, but they look great together, honestly. So I'm going to cut this up first. I'm going to trim this and show you the final piece. Okay, here's what we've got. These are 3 quilt blocks that were done using the quilt as you go method. It looks beautiful. The back has all the quilting through it, if you can see that. It's already done. So what I'm going to do next, next video is going to be adding a binding, just like you would bind a quilt. Hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to see if anyone tries this to see what your outcome was. Thank you. Have a good day.